Information discussed on Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin Money. Talkin Money. More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How are you doing? Been about 3 weeks, I think, since I've been here live. I'm all pent up. Got all kinds of stuff to come out of my mouth. I don't know which is going to come out first. That is not good, though. Was I reading that right, Chris? Yeah, I don't know if we want to give the Olympics I guess it's on live now, so you can watch it. Is it on live? Yeah. Well, we'll start every show the same way. You haven't had a chance to speak in 3 weeks either, so you got to be all wound up. What's going on in your world there? I cannot hear you. See, you're running the board and you don't even get. See, you're so thrown off you can't even talk.
I'm not even used to talking to you. I'm not even used to seeing you.
That's right. What's happening?
Big news yesterday. Well, almost. We're like almost to the big news. It seems like this story's been going on since I was born in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
But looks like the judge is going to be throwing out the case. It's not official yet, but he says that stops petitions had a lot of problems. A lot of misleading statements on their petition. So hopefully this is the beginning of the end of the fight against the arena.
I think the article said you have till, or the city would have till March 3rd to put that on the ballot. So you almost kind of hope that the judge is, if you're in favor of the arena, you kind of hope the judge takes like 2 weeks to make his decision and he goes your way, so it pushes you down the calendar farther. So
I think Ryan Lillis on the beat, he was on the show yesterday, and he said that if they were to appeal it, it would have to be a 3-4 day
appeal
type of thing where to push it on that ballot. Which is kind of screwy to begin with because they don't want a lot of people to vote because no one really votes in the primary elections of an off year. So
yeah, so all you'll get is people that are probably against it coming out. So they don't want it to go to a vote. I mean, that's not going to be helpful. So are you watching the Olympics?
I have been. It's like one of those things that's just constantly on during the day.
I am starting to get a little bit worn on it. So I do think that. So now you look at. I don't know if you caught the women's hockey game. Did you see that one, Chris?
Unfortunately,
that was a good game. I mean,
it was a great game for about 57 minutes,
right up to the last couple. I actually think now that the United States in general just has to surrender to Canada. We'll just have to let them take us over. So
the great thing was that billboard that someone put up, or U.S. versus Canada, loser keeps Bieber.
Right. We got him again, I guess, apparently. And if you don't want to hear about tonight's hockey, well, I won't say it. The United States is playing Finland right now, so you can watch that. That score is that game's just about over. So if you're going to catch that later on, I won't blow it for you. What else is going on here? I had all my Olympic stuff here together. Are you following? And I like bobsled. Are you a bobsled watcher?
Yeah, that's always one of those cool.
It hasn't been any good crashes. At least I haven't caught any good crashes.
Oh, there was one. It was Brazilian women's 2-man bobsled, and they actually went airborne. It was pretty scary.
Did they come out of the bobsled? Or they just caught some air. I did watch the Jamaican team, and they looked like they had they were on the Jamaican sauce there because they were all over the place. But this is kind of interesting because if you follow this and I thought about this when I first heard it, and I thought, well, maybe nobody cares, but the American bobsleds are manufactured and designed by who? Did you catch that?
No.
By BMW. So BMW came up with a design for the American bobsled team. Well, guess who the German designed the German bobsled team?
Ford.
No, Fiat. No. So Germany uses kind of a government-sponsored entity that puts together, and Germany's getting their butts kicked. So in Germany, it is quite the issue right now that the favored the hometown BMW designs for the Americans, and they are doing well. in some cases, winning some medals. And the Germans are not doing so good. So that has become a little bit of a problem in the homeland there. That BMW has done some work for the Americans, not for the Germans. So there you have it. Watch it, and that could be. You wonder about the backlash. Now, of course, if someone hires BMW to design something for them and their own country doesn't, I guess you can't hold it against them. But in any event, it was interesting. Now, this is the one I think is interesting. So you see that one there, the skating suits.
Yeah.
Now, where are you on the skating suits? Are we just have a bunch of slack ass skaters, or are we got a skating suit that has a parachute behind it?
Oh, it's kind of weird because that's kind of one of the sports where the U.S. always does well.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I could see one thing if they start getting silver, bronze. It's like, all right, you guys are just
a little bit
looking
off
for an excuse or something, but they're just getting destroyed.
Yeah, so it does make me wonder. And but they just went out and renewed a contract with Under Armour, so for to provide their suits again too. So Under Armour, who is being held for the blame on some poor skating, is just got another contract. So if that's really the suit, then would you hire them again? I'd be looking at Nike or something
for the right price.
Well, I guess so. And I'll hold the other one as our quiz question there. So it was interesting. What else? I got to round up all my sports stuff here at one time. I did see. Now, what is it with team tennis in Sacramento? This is out of today's paper. The second team tennis owner has been jailed and indicted, allegedly for some sort of some fraud, financial type fraud. And I believe, I got to think back, but I think the previous owner, in fact, used to give us some tickets to give away. I think he was involved in some sort of God, it was driving me nuts. Maybe it was an exchange company, like doing like real estate exchange, something like that in the related. So team tennis apparently draws out the bad boys of the financial world. They're looking to get into the capital. So another team tennis person having some issues in Sacramento. Maybe we need to get Mr. Ronadive to pick up the team tennis, throw it indoors in the new arena as well. So I don't know what's going on there. Here's my last one. Well, actually, we'll use this as a quiz question for our first break this morning. I got a lot of stuff to cover. A lot of interesting things been going on in the last couple weeks that I've been out or traveling or doing different things, and we'll cover some of that during the next break. I did get a chance to take a group of our very, very top, best loan officers and salespeople at our company. We took a small group of them down to Cabo San Lucas a couple weeks ago for a couple nights. And I hadn't been to Mexico in probably 20 years, at least. Maybe probably early in my career, maybe in the early 90s. Spent a little bit of time in Cabo, and quite frankly, Mexico hasn't been getting the greatest PR lately. So going down there wasn't necessarily on top of my list. And one of the big advantages, you used to have for going down to some of the resort areas in what I call Southern California, was the price. Things were, compared to a Hawaii or compared to somewhere else, were significantly cheaper, but so were the accommodations, 20 years ago. So I have to say, pleasantly surprised that at least on the peninsula side, Land's End, Cabo, things are looking very, very nice. It's very, very similar to, I don't want to say to Honolulu now, because Honolulu's built up way more than that, but it's getting there. And certainly the prices have caught up and now are, internationally priced, if you will, in terms of no matter where you go, the hotels and the food and the drink and all seems to be a relatively good deal. Although I did have one issue there, and that was somebody, let's see, my wallet and my driver's license and my credit cards were in my room, and somebody else decided down there that they would be better suited to have them rather than me. So about halfway through my trip, someone decided to. Well, I won't lay blame because I wasn't there. Somehow my wallet was not there after going down to the pool and coming back up, which is always fun when you're now in a foreign country and your credit cards are missing. Your driver's license, fortunately, my passport was not with that, and I had to figure out how to use the foreign ATM machine to get some cash, and so I got to do a little bit of planning next time on keeping my things, I guess, out of the open. But other than that, good times. We had a good trip down there, so I encourage you to check it out. I mean, Cabo is an easy flight down there from our area. You can get in and out of San Diego pretty easy. So that was kind of a fun trip, and that was one of the reasons I was missing one Saturday. And a lot of the things to cover today, too. I think what we'll do is take an early first break. I get into some other things here a little bit, too. We're going to give out, I think I still have a few ski passes left, Chris, and I mean like a few. So this first break, we'll do some ski passes at Sierra Tahoe, and they are picking up snow, thankfully. And so we'll give out some ski passes if you'd like them, if you're not a skier or boarder. Got some Round Table Pizza. And starting, I might even do a few this week, too. The River Cats are back and called us up last month and said, hey, do you guys want to get together and do some fun things again? And we said, of course we do. And so their season starts... They start in March, I think, first week of March or so. So I should have some tickets next week to give out, but I might even give a few in advance.
Probably later in March.
Later in March? Yeah, maybe closer. Oh, that's right. They got to go through the preseason, probably closer to April. But I'll have some tickets pretty soon to start giving away. And those are always a favorite for everybody as well. So here's my first quiz question of the break. This is a little bit late because I was traveling a little bit and off a couple weeks. But out of all your television ads during Super Bowl Sunday, and I use the word during Super Bowl Sunday, so not necessarily on the Super Bowl, which ad had the number one most Twitter response? 339-1140, and I say during Super Bowl Sunday because it may or may not have been on during the Super Bowl, but it certainly was a Super Bowl ad. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. Which television ad on Super Bowl Sunday had the most Twitter response? If you know the answer to that, we'll give you a pair of passes or a pass to ski at Sierra Tahoe, or board if you want to board. If you don't know how to ski, you can board, or you could just sit up there and throw snowballs at Chris and I, one of the two. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text me at 441140. This is Talkin' Money. My name is Jeff Tarbell. We're going to be right back, Jack.
Talkin' money.
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. We are live and alive. How you doing? We did get a couple winners to our quiz question during the break, although the two that got it right need to text us back with their name and address because we don't get the full phone number anymore. So if you're at the 530-701 number or 916-662 number, text us back your name and address. If you want ski passes here at Tahoe, the correct answer to our question, the number one Twitter response to the Super Bowl ads was probably an easy question because it was Esurance, and they were giving away $1.5 million prize if you hashtagged their Esurance Save Money, logo. And I never did see the winner. Did you ever see it? It says here they were going to announce the winner on ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live on Wednesday, which would have been Wednesday after the Super Bowl. So I always wonder if it ever follows through and make sure that somebody actually got the cash. But I'm sure they did. It's an interesting note. Esurance spends about $113 million on U.S. ads compared to Geico. Geico spends about $710 million advertising annually. So a little bit of a disparity there. So if you are one of our two Twitter winners, or text winners on our Twitter question, say that 5 times fast, send us your name and address on the text line if you would. We'll get you out some passes. Other things that were going on the last couple weeks, because I always will tell you whatever's on my mind, good, bad, or indifference, or whatever's going on. I mentioned I was down in Cabo San Lucas for a couple days and got a rash of phone calls from Kaiser Hospital up here. And I've been a Kaiser patient all my life. So if Kaiser's calling you, first of all, that's unusual. Second of all, they called me about 8 times in a row, so I figured, okay, something's going on. And I had a skin cancer test before I left with a private individual who I know, and Kaiser called and said, guess what? You have cancer in your neck. Can you come and see us tomorrow? I said, so if you're, this is where the joke comes in, because if you're a Kaiser patient, you'll know that, the general rule with Kaiser is they will see you the day after you die. So I said, no, I cannot come in tomorrow. I am severely deep in tequila down here, and I'm sure that will fight off any infection for the next couple days, and I will come in on when I get back, which I did. And this is so the purpose here is to I did have a melanoma in my neck, which, Chris, you can see right here, has now been removed, which is fun. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I'll be very, very frank with you. If they just said, hey, we found a spot on your back that was not melanoma and everything else was, that wouldn't have surprised me. Because let's be honest, I am not the most diligent of suntan users, and I basically grew up on a boat, taught water skiing for 4.5 years straight before they had those cool sunshades, and I was basically sitting out there like roasting, So the mere fact that they found a little spot by itself is shocking that it wasn't the only spot. But nonetheless, it does, and maybe it's a good thing. I don't, maybe it's maybe everybody should have their head smacked once in a while, and you can start to figure out. For me, I think that after they get done digging it out with a shovel, it'll probably be just fine. It does make me stop and think a little bit about I'm glad it was me and not my wife or my girls, for sure. I'd take the pain all the time. It's no problem. And B, it does make me wake up every day a little bit and say, what the hell am I doing today? What I want to do today? Am I doing the right thing? Am I going somewhere? It's just one of those things. And a lot of people have, certainly this is like a joke compared to what some people go through, most people go through. But it is a good eye opener, I think, if it doesn't kill you. You're going to die of something, right? So most people would figure I would ball up like a little Cessna plane at the end of Mayfair Airport, or the damn motorcycle would get me. So probably more likely one of those. But it's one of those things that go on. But it did make me think about a couple things, and one of them is that you can be any age and get a little spot that someone says is cancer, and I have to maybe check with some of the insurance companies, and it makes you start to think about at what point, and we've talked about this before, at what point do you become uninsurable for something? And fortunately for myself, I've got some insurance in place and some life insurance and things like that are for my family. But what if you're 25 years old? Easily could get any number of things that are either your own doing or have nothing to do with you in terms of, and all of a sudden you don't become, you could become someone who is uninsurable, someone who cannot get a life insurance policy, someone who cannot get, disability insurance, someone who cannot get some of these things too. And we talk about that only because there's, so many young people who are right in the position of needing to do some financial planning and believe that, hey, I have my whole life, I can always do this. And you get to a point where then maybe a company will look at you and say, you know what, we don't want you as a client because you had a little spot on your neck or because you had something else too. So it did bring up, kind of just a reminder for me of having discussions on this program here before about planning and, and becoming uninsurable. And that would be a mess if that happened when I was 30 years old and I had 3 young girls that were all, 2 and just born, and a wife that was staying home with them, and then all of a sudden something happens and you can't get insurance. So those are things you got to think about. Nobody likes to think about those or plan for them, but you should, because it can happen. So that was the latest, and we'll know more about that in a couple of weeks as those test results come back, but I'm not losing any sleep over it. So that's the latest with the last 3 weeks with me. I did note a couple of things that were interesting while I was traveling around and didn't get on the air. So the president showed up in California. If you haven't been following along, we have a little water problem going on here. We don't got any. And that's proper English, I think. We got a little bit. Drive out to Folsom Lake if you haven't done it. I'll give you an idea how little water there is. But I guess what got me irritated, amongst all things that irritate me when it comes to politicians, was that this was, I'm not sure if this is the local, let me see here. No, this is the Wall Street Journal. So after a trip to Fresno, which is lovely this time of year, everybody should see Fresno this time of year, particularly when it's got no water, Mr. Obama was to propose the Climate Resilience Fund on Friday after touring part of California hit by severe drought. The fund's $1 billion tab would be spent on researching the effects of climate change. What in the hell? $1 billion to research. I can tell you what happens when climate changes. It don't rain. So for $1 billion, we're going to study the fact that it don't rain or it rains too much. Now, we're not going to be able to change the fact that it isn't raining, or that it rains too much, or that it's freezing cold back east, or it's gorgeous out here. But we're going to spend $1 billion documenting it. Now, let me tell you what we could do for $1 billion. Now, I appreciate the president coming out and discussing the issue. That's cool. But for $1 billion, I just saw this today. I didn't bring it with me. I want to say the tab for the extension of Shasta Dam, Lake Shasta up by Redding, if you've never been there, was originally designed to be significantly taller than it is now. But they stopped, 3/4 of the way through the process and didn't finish. Or they finished it, but they didn't go as high as they could. So Shasta Dam could be extended, and I am now pulling this number out of a hat, but I want to say it's about 16 feet. And it could be 9 feet, it could be 20 feet, but it's something in the low teens in terms of feet. For $900 million, we can extend that dam, and we will get the equivalent of just under another Folsom Lake, a full Folsom Lake, full of water. So we could spend $1 billion writing a draft paper on what the global warming means to all of us, and we could support a bunch of scientists and people who want to get paid to write draft papers, or we could pour concrete on top of the existing Shasta Dam and get another Folsom Lake out of it. Now, all raise your hands if you want the homework project or if you want the water, but I am going to say that we should go for the water. Interestingly enough, out of the 15 subjects, the Wall Street Journal NBC survey did a survey in late January, 15 subjects that concern U.S. citizens the most, climate change not on the list. Ranked the last on the list. Number 1, how about some jobs? Number 2, how about we quit spending so much money on the federal budget? So there you go. What do you want to do, Chris, with $1 billion? You want to write the paper or you want to pour some concrete?
Well, the good thing about that is it has to go to Congress, which won't pass it.
Right. It won't go in. It's just that it's just so irritating. We want to spend money further understanding why the sun is hotter this week or why, I don't get it. Let's just put real money in the ground if we're going to spend some money and get some water. There just hasn't been enough of that discussion. I don't understand what it is. Maybe it's just too expensive. I don't know. I don't get it. But then I know a lot of things I don't get. That's why I'm on the radio. I don't have to have any true skills. That's why you get to just come here and talk. We got to take another break. We did get okay, there's our first person there out of Sutter, California. Welcome, Sutter. So we had another winner, 916-662. If you wanted some ski passes, you can email us. So if you're going to answer one of these questions on the text line, you got to give us your full name and address if you want a ski pass or some Round Table pizza. Let's take a break, Chris, and when I come back, I got a bunch of just little crazy little things. And you ever thought about being an airline pilot? Because they need some pilots real quick, real bad, but you might want to wait around for the punchline on that one there. Here's my next quiz question. This company, and I think I know one person that has one of these. This company stopped selling their product. It was a kind of let me see what they call it here. Fitness-related product that was causing massive skin irritations. The company this is their only product they sell, I believe, had to take it off the market and refund everybody's money back. So $129 refund going to everybody because their arm was breaking out in a rash. Which company is now replacing or recalling their only product that I'm aware of? And if you're a fitness monitor person, you'll know the answer to that. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. This one is awesome. The FAA is shutting down. I'll get back to this, but the aerial delivery of 12 packs of beer actually was going on. Now, why would they close that down? I don't get that. That is just marketing 1A. So if you know the answer to the question that the company had to stop selling their fitness product, which was breaking everybody's arm out in a humongous rash, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text me at 441140, or you can just sit there and scratch your arm. We'll be right back.
Talking money.
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
How you doing? You got a rash breaking out on your arm? Well, either hang out at a better bar or get the Fitbit off your arm, one of the two. Fitbit was the answer to our quiz question there. They think that maybe there's some nickel or something in the band that was causing some issues. So Fitbit out of San Francisco is recalling their fitness tracking bracelet, or just don't put it on your. Some people said they just don't put it on their against their skin. They just connect it to their T-shirt or something else. They can still do the same thing. But that was the answer. So we got a couple people that called, a couple people on the text line. For those of you that texted us the correct answer, you didn't text us your name or address, so we can't send you anything unless you send us back. So we'll leave that up to you. Olympic warning: don't watch the hockey game tonight. That's embarrassing. Hey Tony, thanks for your text. It's very nice. Getting a lot of people texting in here as well. We did some work there. I mentioned before the break there. I remember growing up as a kid, one of the coolest jobs you could get was an airline pilot, and it always seemed like the only way you could actually get the job really would be if you came out of the military, because there you got to fly a lot and get paid to fly and learn and get all the hours you needed. But I was just kind of just following along, partly because I'm doing a little flying myself again and getting toward probably 3/4 of the way through getting my private pilot's license, and so I tend to kind of key in on these things a little bit. But just looking at, of course, we've had nothing but airline problems and shutdowns because of the weather. But quite a few carriers, particularly in the Midwest and back east, are having to cancel flights because they don't have any pilots to fly the planes, and particularly more of the kind of the little regional hopper planes, not the big jets, but the small little local planes. And I guess I see why, because I'm looking here now at the hazard for a new pilot. Now think about this for a minute. Average starting base salary. Chris, let me ask you, because I've not shared this with you. Average starting base salary for pilots at the 14 U.S. regional carriers. So you're not talking about a big jet. You're talking about small regional, hop from here to San Francisco, here to Seattle. How much you think? What is the average annual income for those pilots? Do you take a guess?
I think of what I remembered. It's about $20,000 to $25,000.
Very good. $22,400, which I divided out with my calculator on a 40-hour week, and I think I came up with about $9.80 an hour. So I don't know what they're paying at the drive-thrus right now, but they're paying pretty close to that. So you got, and I don't know, maybe that doesn't bother you. I mean, most of the guys that are and ladies that are flying these planes are doing it to build time. And obviously, if you're getting paid $22,000 a year to build time, as opposed to paying $20,000 to $40,000 to $60,000 a year to fly, that's a better deal. But does it make you nervous that the pilot up there in front of you is not only, you're probably nervous anyway, because what my wife calls a small plane, I call a big ass plane, because I say you want to find a small plane, get in the one next to me. There's only 2 seats. That's a small plane. These are big. When you can put in 50 or 75 people in them, that's a big plane. But most of the people would consider that a small plane. And now your pilot is making $9.80 an hour. Are you comfortable there?
No, Frontline did a whole thing about it.
Yeah.
And the stuff that they go through. Because it's not like, 5 to 9, 9 to 5, that's what your hours are. I mean, their hours are crazy. I mean, you might be doing 40 hours a week, but it might be 3 days.
You're right. And that's part of the problem that they're having now with a lot of these carriers, is that they are changing over. A, they want more training for the pilots. B, they want them to be on a more normal schedule so they get some sleep. And C, you can't be overweight, because they want to make sure that you're sleeping well at night. So you get all these rules. So all we're going to have is basically all these skinny people who can only work 4 hours at a time, and that'll be about it. So we're going to have a whole bunch of pilots making nothing, which I thought was. But anyway, if you're interested in the pilot, there's got to be a ton of returning veterans who already have the hours necessary, who can pick up that job and fly those planes and work their way up. I mean, there has to be. I did see that I teased before the break there that the FAA is cracking down on these unmanned drones. I'm not talking about the big ones that blow people out of the sky. I'm talking about the little ones that carrying your 12-pack of beer. Out of Milwaukee, the craft brewer Lake Made Beer recently tested its delivery system by flying a 12-pack of its brew to anglers on the central Minnesota lakes. So people are out there ice fishing, and just text in, I'm in fishing hut number 38, and they fly you out a 12-pack of beer. And I don't know why would the FAA care? First of all, if the thing crashes on an ice bed of lake, all you've done is you've broken 12 beers. Now I know that's a crime. That is unofficially unacceptable. But what is the what do you see any issue there? Chris?
I think that's an amazing idea because there's always
Can you see the picture of that thing? That thing is so cool.
there's always someone like, oh, we didn't bring enough beer, or oh, we didn't, and no one wants to go drive or anything like that.
If you're out ice fishing, you probably first I don't get the whole ice fishing thing, so I that part goes by me, but nonetheless, I guess if it's frozen all around, you got nothing else to do. Why not sit out in the hut with your buddies and drink beer? I mean, I sit out in my backyard and drink beer with my buddies and watch the game. So what's the difference? I guess. But the unmanned drone delivery of the 12-pack is flat out genius. I don't understand why this is being halted, but trust me, someone's going to figure out a way, and we're going to see more drones flying around. I mean, just think about it. You're sitting, why wouldn't a Safeway or Rayleigh's somebody? I mean, they already have the thing where you can order online, they'll bring it to you in a truck. But a lot of times, I just need a dozen eggs. Boom, the drone is at your house and bringing the eggs. There's going to be a way to regulate this and make it happen. I can assure you of that. What else is going on? I saw a couple things that were. This was pretty cool. I got to reach here. Can't move my neck and reach here at the same time. Where's our economy going? How are you feeling about things? How's your job doing? I just look ahead a little bit and look at a few things. Fannie Mae made their, well, it's kind of a, they didn't really make their final payment on their loan from the government, but they have paid back now. Let's see here. They made, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have paid back the government about $192.5 billion with a B dollars. That exceeds the $187 billion that they were lent to bail out homeowners. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are now in the positive category. And I think this is funny. And this, now here is a politician that I agree with, and he is Senator Mark Warner, a Democrat out of Virginia. Fannie Mae is being sued by certain investors in Fannie Mae who want the government out of the roll. They want to turn it back private so that the people who are invested in it can make all these profits themselves, which I understand. Congress and the White House have been slow to address the future fate of the entities, and why would they? They're getting billions of dollars quarterly in checks being delivered to them. And Senator Mark Warner said the thing that I would most agree with. This guy was a former hedge fund advisor. Now he's a politician. He said, hey, look it. The U.S. taxpayer invested $187.5 billion in this entity with no downside, with all the risk was on them. They've got their money back now. You think we did this for a 1-to-1 return? Hell to you. We're going to get a 30-to-1 return before we turn this thing back over public. And now that's looking out for the taxpayer. I agree with him. The U.S. taxpayer put up the money. We got our money back. We didn't do this. Well, we did it because we had to. But we don't do investments to break even. We don't do investments for a 10% return. We want a 30% return before we turn this thing back over or we shut it down. So I'm with him on that. Now, I don't think they're going to make the kind of money that they're this year that they made last year because business is a lot slower. But nonetheless, I wholeheartedly support that comment, which is we're printing money on the and by the way, the people that are footing that bill, every one of you right now who are taking out a new Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loan, they're a little more expensive than they used to be, and those fees are going back into pay that fund back. So thank you, current homeowners and current people refinancing. You're footing the bill for the past problems, and that will resolve itself. I did see one comment this week that I did does have me thinking a little bit about where we're going here in our area. There was this is out of the Sacramento Bee. They did a nice this is Wednesday, February 12th. Did a nice little map of our regional area, and they show what is currently pending and approved or proposed for future housing development in, I'll call this the 5-county area, Yuba County down over to Yolo and Sacramento, El Dorado, Placer, Sutter. Developers in various stages of planning more than 650,000 new housing units in this 6-county region over the decades, while planners estimate that they only need about 300,000 units to solve that demand over the next decade. So one of two things can happen. First of all that would have to get approved, which probably will not immediately, but it could. And then you have the other issue, which someone pointed out the other day on Facebook I was watching, which was you have the Blackstone Group. And they're sitting around with a few thousand homes right now in our area that are currently rentals. At what point in time do they pull the plug on that program? And they say, okay, we've made all of the returns we're going to get in terms of appreciation, and they start unloading some of those homes as well. The market right now is pretty slow And that's just a time of year issue. People don't want to list their houses for sale generally around the holidays. Buyers are out there, but not as prevalent as they could be. Borrowing is getting harder each day that goes by. And now we have potentially another 650,000 housing units over the next 10 years, plus all the Blackstone and all the other properties that are held off the market. So I'm looking around and saying, where does appreciation go in our area over the next 10 years? Well, maybe if we keep having winters like we had back east, we'll start driving more people out this way, and they'll look at California as a place to if we had any water for them to drink, that would be helpful. But other than that, weather-wise, the weather's great. Bring your own water. That could be our new motto. Bring a bottle. Bring a bottle of suntan lotion. Bring a bottle of water with you when you come out. So it makes me think a little bit about where prices and where appreciation and things are going, and we may have a little bit of an oversupply if we don't get some more people into the area pretty quick. And I hark back to our water conversation. Estimated value of economic loss or economic impact from the drought this year. Anybody want to take a guess? This is 1 year now. $40 billion in economic loss. One of the greatest catastrophes. And it's hard to, it doesn't register as much with you because, the building didn't fall down, or we didn't see a fire, we didn't see some dramatic crash. There wasn't some, big thing on the news everybody looks at and goes, oh, that's terrible. It's just we don't have any water, so farmers can't farm, we can't do things. Pool guys can't put in new pools. I mean, you name it. $40 billion down the drain for California, 2014 estimated. And I haven't seen a single water project for additional storage proposed. So that could be an issue. But anyway, that's where one of the things we can start looking about house prices and house values and appreciation. And we've seen a pretty good run up the last couple of years. And we may be, coming near a more reality near that. And what is reality for you on a home, annual appreciation on a home? 10% is not reality. That's not realistic. Probably 3 to 5% as an annual appreciation, maybe, over time. So get that in your mind there. Also, where are stocks and bonds going? I always like to watch gold and silver. I always think that those are a good indication of where people think our economy might be headed. Gold and silver kind of tanked out the last 6-7 months, maybe even the last year. And now in the last, one day alone, gold went up 1.5% and silver went up 5%. So metals are coming back on, which basically means that people don't think our economy is going to be growing as much as it should or could. Because why would you buy a gold and silver that doesn't do anything but sit there, doesn't pay any returns at all, if you thought everything else was going to be doing well? So gold and silver are starting to make a little bit of a move back up. And a complete contradictory move to what the Fed says we're going to start raising rates next year. So if the Fed says we're going to raise rates next year, they think the economy is growing. People that buy gold and silver think the economy is slowing. I don't know what to think. One of them is going to be right, or maybe they'll be both half right, but it'll be an interesting year to figure it out. And then as we end on, how are we doing on time today, Chris? Okay, got a couple minutes left. So I'll bring up the one you're probably watching on the news every single day right now, which is what's going on in the Ukraine. And you can, for simplistic terms, you can kind of describe what's happening in Ukraine as this. And this is very simplistic. Maybe you don't agree. We have a country that is heavily in debt. And tell me if this sounds familiar to you, by the way. We have a country who's heavily in debt, and it relies almost entirely on foreign energy. That sound like anybody else you know? Maybe not entirely the foreign energy part, but does it sound like something else, maybe where you live? Heavily reliant on debt, reliant on foreign energy. And you've got a country, the Ukraine, if you look at it on a map, it sits right between Russia and a variety of other European EU countries. And both sides are saying, come over here with us. Come be friends with us. And the people started leaning toward the European Union, and the leadership started leaning toward Russia. And hence you have a little bit of a conflict. Now, did you see this morning, probably within the last hour, the president of the leader of Ukraine left the country? So last night they apparently brokered some kind of a deal with the EU, and now he's gone. So that may come to an end, or it may get worse. I don't know which. You just never know. But it's very interesting, and you start following people who follow geopolitics, which I don't follow enough of, and they will tell you that what you see going on in the Ukraine, in some aspects, could be a precursor to what happens in the United States. You got a country who is heavily financed by another country, who gets a majority and a good majority of their natural resources from another country, particularly energy, oil. And what would prevent something like that from happening in the United States? Well, I guess Canada and Mexico aren't going to probably either vie for us to come their way. Probably both. One of us is going to get Bieber. I'm not sure which. But anyways, interesting discussion. And if you, and Venezuela is doing another, having similar issues to it. So it's a lot of crazy things going on, and it's just so hard to, when you get up at out the door at 8 and you got to be at work, and then you got to get home, and then you got to pick up your kids, and you got to do dinner, and you got to cut the grass, and you got to stay healthy, and you got to do all the other things, and you got to try to figure out what all this stuff means. It's very difficult to do. For me, this is the number one benefit of this radio show for me, is it forces me to stop for at least a couple minutes a day and read something and try to figure out what it means. And that's a tough one. But I would hope that the United States is not Ukraine on steroids. But there certainly are a few people that believe that the same characteristics are in both spots. So anyway, I hope that works out well for them in the long run. Congratulations, Placer and El Dorado County. You are now ahead of Orange County in terms of median income. Orange County I always thought should be number one. Marin County, number one. Median income in Marin County, $127,000. And here's your list: San Mateo, Santa Clara, Alameda, Contra Costa, San Francisco. You wonder why it's so expensive to live in the Bay Area? I just listed the top 6 places. Placer and El Dorado County are basically about $83,000, and then Orange, Ventura, Yolo, and Solano. Sacramento, number 19 on the list. So there you have it. That answers a lot of your questions. Median income in Marin County, $127,000. Sacramento County, $68,000. That's almost double if you're not really counting. That music means we got to wrap it up. In next Saturday, Vince Mastracco is coming back in for me. It is my 22nd wedding anniversary next weekend, and I'm going to take my wife somewhere nice. Fresno, this time of year, is an unbelievable location. I'm going to go down there and bring my own water bottle with me. Vince will be in here next weekend, and I'll be back live with you the following week. The author of the book, Taxifornia, will be with me coming up in a couple weeks. We'll get him on there as well. You can find the show during the week if you so choose to at the Talkin Money Facebook page. My website is jefftarbell.com. If you're looking to buy a home, refinance, refurbish mortgage, you're a veteran, and you want to talk to me, I'll be there. 338-9400 is my number, jefftarbell.com. We'll see you next week, everybody. Be safe. Pray for snow. Aloha.